Hey campers, today we're going to show you how to prepare a country ham. Country ham is a well-known staple in Kentucky and is very popular around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, so the first step is you want to cut the hock off, which it can be anywhere from like 4 to 8 inches. See, if you look at this one, it's a lot longer, so you'd cut a little more off. So we're going to go ahead and cut this off about right here. So it's important you want to, make sure you're not cutting into your countertop, so just be aware of that. And that's that part. Okay, you can stop it. Next step is you'll dump a cup of vinegar into a cold canner or just a big pot, and then you'll put your ham in and fill water around it. Ideally, you want the whole ham under the water, and sometimes that's why you want to cut a little more off than I did here, so keep that in mind. Basically, the next step is let it soak for approximately 8 hours. I like to let it soak overnight, but at least let it soak for 8. Now, what I did was flipped it first thing in the morning. That way, that other part of it gets some soaking too. All right, so next steps are, make sure you wash your hands, have a clean surface, whatever. You're going to remove your ham from the water. So, you just set your hock off to the side. And I recommend keeping this metal thing in there. That way you can just kind of easily pull it out. And then you're going to clean it off and you're going to wipe all the residue off. And don't, overthink this. You're just literally wiping it off. Just getting any kind of residue or anything from the drying process off of it. We're done with that. And it should have a pleasant smell. Like when you smell that, like it should smell pretty good. It should smell appetizing. And again, don't overthink this part. You're just kind of wiping it off. So this one looks pretty good. I've had some of them where they look a little bit more like white or almost like a moldy look. You can clean them off a little bit better, but that's pretty much it. There's that part. Then next, you want clean water for this. So dump out your old water that you soaked it in, because you'll likely use the same pot for cooking. Pardon the mess, but people live here, so let's empty that out. Maybe P&G should send me some money for having Dawn on there. I like to clean it out just to make sure you don't have any yucky stuff in your pot, because likely you're going to use the exact same pot out of convenience. And these hams are big, so most people don't have a lot of gigantic containers to cook in. So that's pretty much that. And then you'll fill it back up, and you're going to add a half a cup of vinegar. Some people also like to put like a Coke, or there's some other stuff you can add as well. And don't forget to put your piece back in. But again, you might want to spray it off too. Just get anything you might call yucky. Just getting that filled back up. Something else you might want to do is not totally fill it up if you're not able to lift it. So you might want to fill it like halfway and then move it over here. And then don't forget to add your half a cup of vinegar, but you can go ahead and add your ham to the pot. And, figure out whichever way it'll sit that the most of it is going to be in there. So you might have to adjust it and try not to get it all over the place. I'll stuck that in there. Okay, then we need to add our vinegar. And this isn't rocket science, use the 5% vinegar. If it's a little over half, or if it's a little over, it's fine. But yeah, make sure you've at least got the 5% vinegar. You start getting the lower stuff, I'm not sure it's as effective. And don't ask me why you put it in there, I don't know. Like I was saying, some people like to add Coke. I usually just do plain water. Some people apparently add red wine or a 7-Up. If it's a good ham, I usually just like going straight water. But I think this time I might put a Coke in it for fun. Now, the next step is boiling it. So you want to boil it about 23 minutes per pound. In this case, this is almost 18 pounds. So we're going to cook it for about 7 hours. But do the math. You don't want to overcook it, and you don't want to cook it too hot, just like a low boil. So like I said, this time I'm going to put a Coke in it. I usually don't, but I've been on a Coke kick. I was trying not to drink pop anymore, but I guess we can cook it instead, huh? Another thing too is don't start your timer until it starts actually boiling, because then you kind of, especially with these electric stoves, I'd much rather have a gas burner, but we don't have any gas, so that's out. But get it to boiling first, because sometimes it can take it, a half hour before it even gets started, and that way you make sure your cooking time is good. Okay, so it actually ended up being about 6.5 hours per the timing. So now what you do is, and it should look, something like that. The skin will look kind of bubbly like it does there. Basically, you're going to let it sit for a while and cool off, about an hour or two, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, we've had it sitting in the water enough to cool off now. So now we're going to remove it from the pot, and then we're going to sit it and let it cool a little bit longer, and then we're going to get the bone out. Remove it. Then you can dump the remainder of the water, but save your hock for soup beans or something like that. Now, see, some of the bones you can go ahead and just pull them right out, so it makes it easy. Right there's a nice piece of ham. So sometimes you'll get some stragglers. You can go ahead and eat those. Now the hock, and if you got a couple of good bones, go ahead and just throw them in a bag, let them cool off a little bit more, and then you can go ahead and freeze them. Like I was saying, use them in soup beans or whatever you want to make. All right, so we're gonna let it sit this way for a little while, and then we will come back to it. So I wanna let it cool off more, and then we're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna cut that big bone out of it, and then we'll put it back together. All right, the next step is removing the bone. So what you want to do is take a knife and you want to kind of follow it to get the bone out. And if you do this a different way or have a different strategy, let me know in the comments. I do think I should go ahead and sometimes you can just pull parts of the bone out and it just comes right off. Like this is pretty loose here. So see, like you can kind of get just chunks of it that are just coming right out. No problem. But you can feel it in there. All right, what we're doing next is we're still working on getting the bone out, but I'm just kind of getting rid of some of this fat here because we're not going to need it. But we want to go ahead, before we take the bone out, we want to set the ham on aluminum foil because you're going to wrap it in aluminum foil and then a towel. So we're going to do that before we completely get the bone out, and then we'll reform it. Okay, so now we're going to transfer it. It's cool enough now that you can just touch it. But that fat already, put it over here. That fat is very, the skin rather. Oh yeah, look at that Good Country ham under there. Look at that. That's good. So we're trying to remove a little bit of the fat. It wants to fall off anyway. So just let it do that. Okay. A little warm still. Keep going. Now what I'd like to do,
flip it over.
yeah, I think we're going to let it cool off just a little bit more. So we're going to give it a couple minutes and then we'll come back. Just kind of almost slide it across it if you can. Perfect. Good job. And then we just want to kind of wiggle that bone out if we can. Ooh, it's hot. All right, there we go. We got the bone out. And now the key next is you want to wrap it back up. So I'm going to pause for just a second. We'll get this cleaned off a little bit, and then we'll show you the wrapping process. A couple other things you can do after you get the bone out. These aren't things I generally do because I want my country ham to taste like a country ham. But you can also use a cup of brown sugar, a cup of meal, and some tablespoons of flour, and a tablespoon of dry mustard, and 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon cloves if desired. And you put the ham fat side up, so the other way we had it, it'd be like if you flipped it from where it's at. And I guess you rub that stuff on the inside of it. No idea. We're not doing that. But if you do, let us know in the comments. So the next thing, we're going to wrap it up, and then we're going to continue to let it cool. And that's just about it. So we'll show you how we do that next. So you want to wrap it up tight. The key is to get the ham to kind of form back together. Sorry, I had to eat a piece, so you want to get it to kind of form back together.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good. And then let's do the same thing. Then you'll take a towel and wrap around it from there. All right, next step, you'll take an old towel. I call this our country ham towel because we use the same one. And you will put it in the towel. And same thing, you're just wrapping it up tight. You're just kind of keeping it. And then you will let it form for a while. Let it sit for about an hour or 2, and then stick it in the refrigerator. And don't forget, take those extra bones in your hock, wrap them up once they're somewhat, not flaming hot or whatever. Throw them in the freezer, save them, throw them in a soup, beans, whatever it is you want to do with them, but save it. Good stuff right here for seasoning. All right, this is your final product. Look at that. It's ready to slice, and you can start enjoying it. And as always, it's delicious. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic day.